Good morning. Today is the 7th of March 2024 and I'm going to go through my trading ideas for today. Quickly before we start, let's check the news events for today for potential market moving news. We had a news drop at 8:30, initials jobless. We saw a bit of a push up, but we have got a big one at 10 a.m. so in a half an hour after the market opens. So Fed Powell testimony. So keep an eye on that. We also got a Fed speaker at 11:30 today, so two times to be wary. And I'm sure I saw somewhere that there's a Fed speaking at 9:45, but it's not actually on my news list. But anyway, back to the charts. So just a full disclosure, I've taken a pre-market short right here, and I use that based on order flow. And let's flick over to the order flow screen. And that's one of my levels for today, which I've been watching. So this level here is either going to be a rejection down, or it's going to be, or I'm going to watch it for a break and retest long. Yesterday's break and retest of the pre-market high long was great. This level here, 51.16, that worked really well. I got out at the top, literally where we are now. Hoping today will be maybe something similar. We put in a low there, slightly higher than that one, and then a higher low there, and it's all depending on what's going to happen here. We're either going to reject down or we're going to push up. So I'm kind of watching two levels. We've got pre-market high, break and retest, and we've got yesterday's high. So this is kind of the area I'm watching for a rejection, which I'm currently in, or a break and retest long. Okay, so if we do push up, we see some strength today. And I've got this area of supply, which is the all-time high. Also, I've got a couple of levels I'm watching as well. I'm kind of watching, my main area is 41.46, 41.48 area for rejection. That's based on these two pivots. And then we've got coming into all-time high and just basically the bodies of two candles, 51.54 to 51.57 for rejection. So these are my two rejection areas I'm watching for if we get up there. And then for bounces, we've got this break and retest long 51.34 to 51.36. I'm also watching for a higher risk bounce. We've kind of held it a few times, which is 51.16. Area of confidence there, kind of the tops of this area where we pulled back into that area as well yesterday. So it's kind of been a significant area over 1 to 3 hours. It couldn't break through it until today in the pre-market, so I kind of expected it to come back down, maybe bounce. We've also got this trend line which is going back to October 2023 in that area as well, and we're coming into the 20 moving average as well. So there's a few reasons why I like it. I'd say it's higher risk because we're kind of close and it's not a defined area, but it's an area of confidence. And if we do sell off totally, then I'm watching this area of demand down here, 50.93 for a potential bounce, and that's basically coming off of that pivot, that area there, this pivot here, and it was an area of confidence. So it's tops of bottoms, tops of candles, bottoms of candles, bottoms of candles, tops here, as you can see. So kind of like that area. And of course we've got a couple of days low for a potential bounce down here, and that's it really, keeping it simple. Nothing really to report about. Let's look at the daily. I always like to start with the daily. You can see we're kind of running along this trend line. Broke it once, broke it a second time. To me, You know, I like to see it come back up to the top of the trend line and come back down to confirm a healthy trend, but it's not able to get past that area, and we're kind of operating now in the bottom 50% of this trend line. If we're up here, I would say we're looking healthy for a breakout or continuation. Because we're down here, generally I see a lot of breaks and retests happen when we start seeing it kind of curving. You can see it curving over a bit. But volume wise, other than the couple of red days, we had low volume there. There's a bit of an anomaly. See that very small top and tail candle, and then the next day we had bigger volume with slightly bigger volume. You probably would expect more volume based on the previous candle. So it's a tough one. I can't see weakness, nor can I see strength. Just need to play the chart and have no bias basically. But potentially, if we are holding this trend line at the bottom, then we can see a break, retest into that area and up to that trend line. That's kind of a potential outcome. Okay, so that's basically the ES or the MES. I'm looking at the hourly time frame on this chart. Looking at SPY next, similar to the ES, kind of got this all-time high rejection area, 513 to 514.20. We're kind of at this area where we kind of rejected it yesterday, and we're right there today as well. So I think because we're kind of putting in this hourly trend, I think a break and retest of that area is the more likely outcome than a rejection, despite me being short at the moment, but I did that based purely on order flow. Yeah, so break and retest of the pre-market, yesterday's high, pre-market high at 512, 511.90, basically the 512 area. And then we can watch for a bounce down in this area as well at 508 to 509. So going back to the order flow screen again, you can see I'm still in the screen. I thought I just wanted to justify the reason why I got into that trade. NQ next. Looking a bit weaker than ES and SPY. So we've got this area here, yesterday's high, potential rejection or a break and retest long. And as for an area of kind of that area there is a target area. If we do go long, can't see much volume. There's no volume over here as well, so it's kind of a bit of a void above. So if we can break above, we should see a bit of a nice run up and then getting close to these all-time highs again. Let's just put in a level, that area there, 18,332 for potential reject, and obviously you've got all-time highs for reject as well, or a target if we're long. And then for bounces, I quite like the bounce back down this area here. I'm going to move that line up a bit. 17,850 for a bounce, that area. And we've got this area of demand, kind of like that area for a bounce as well. And that's 17,915 to 17,965. And obviously the break and retest of these areas we discussed as well. Okay. Next is Qs. Looking at Qs. kind of still like the bounce down here, 437 bounce, kind of bouncing off of the 200 moving average, which is this purple line. We've got the point of control as well, this VPOC down there, so this area can act as an area of support. And then again, if we can break above there, we've got a clear run with no volume coming up into the all-time high areas. SPX 5100 held yesterday, you can see that, but just below 5093, 5094 area, so 5100 is just a little bit above that area. If we come back down here, potential bounce, we've got the point of control as well, so that orange line, and we've got the 50 moving average all in that same area. And if we break down, then I could potentially look for a short, and I'll be shorting on the ES for that. Okay, so gold next. It's on this mammoth bullish run up. Let's go to the daily. Look at that, we're coming right into that rejection area, which we talked about yesterday. So potential, look at that, straight on the money there. That's what we talked about yesterday, right in that area there. Tops of candles, tops of candles, tops of candles, tops of candles over here as well. So maybe watch for confirmation, break below the hourly candle for the short back down, and we can got a target of that pivot 2100 to 2115 area for a potential bounce or a target of a short, and you've got the point of control down there as well. So that's it, that's all I can see on, and that's the daily. So the hourly, you can see it's pretty strong, coming right up into that level. We've got to break this structure, so we draw a trend line. We're kind of still running along this trend, so once we've broken this structure, we can look for potential short gold, or it's just going to keep running up. So it's quite a steep incline as well. So, and it's getting far away from its home base, which is the 200, the 50, and the 20. So it will need a pullback at some point. So potentially today we've got a bounce point there at 2130, and a bounce point here. We might meet the 50 at 2100, well 2090, that area. Oil next. This is the CL chart. Yesterday we kind of came up into that area, which was kind of watching for, and rejected. Still holding the 200 moving average. So this area for a break above, break and retest long, and a rejection at the yesterday's high. It's the only place I can see really. If we sell off, then potentially we've got a bounce area here. Tops, bottoms, 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 and maybe come bottom again. Next, we're looking at RTY, which is the E-mini Russell 2000. Looking strong, kind of putting in this pattern where it's going to come back. So the only place I can see a rejection is at the all-time highs area, 2096 through to 2093. This area for a rejection, or we can watch this area here. And what I'm looking at is tops of candles, kind of area confluence, bottom of this pivot, top of that candle, and it happens to be the highs of yesterday as well. So if we come back down, we can look for a bounce at 2077, 2080, that area for a bounce to continue this hourly uptrend. And then next is YM, which is the E-mini Dow Jones, looking a bit weaker than everything else, but put in a higher low, kind of putting in this pattern actually. So put in a bit of a, you could call it a bear flag, and it may just go in between before it picks a direction. So watch the reject at yesterday's high. Bear in mind we've got the 200 moving average just above, and we've got the point of control, this VPOC, so it acts as resistance. Or we've got the bounce down here, but I still quite like, let's just put some trend lines in so we can see it better. So connect that one up, look at that, almost spot on. Let's connect these two up. So we kind of got this forming. So let's see what, okay, we might be breaking out. I was about to say watch for a break and retest of that area. Using that as a stop. Okay, I think I've stopped out of my trade. Still looks weak, but anyway, it's what it is. That's a potential target area if we go long. And obviously we've got a rejection up this area as well, so watch for a potential rejection. But this looks a bit like a bear flag. And then last is Bitcoin, still at the dizzy heights of close to the all-time highs. This is a daily chart. You can see it basing along here. Potentially watch for a bounce down here or a break, retest this area short, and then we've got a few target areas or bounce areas, 5400, 4000, the main areas to watch for. But looking strong, but we're getting lots of volume coming in now. Lots of volume there, lots of volume here. Generally high volume, it signifies an end of a move, so just keep an eye on that. If you're long, that red line was where I got out of my 50% of my Bitcoin. I had a small amount, got out, I think I might have been just a bit higher than that red line, and that's basically watching the volume, and I saw it, couldn't put in a new high, came back into that area, that's why I got out. Obviously maybe couldn't have predicted it's going to do that again, but then the all-time highs were just above, so most likely you know, everything else has hit all-time highs, so it's likely the Bitcoin would have done the same as well. But it's fine, I'm happy with that. We could be potentially putting in this, I don't know if you can see it, this kind of head, maybe a shoulders pattern, but we haven't quite set up the right shoulder yet, need to come right back down, something like that. But one to keep an eye on. And that's it, let's look at MES. Yeah, so it broke out through that pivot. So what I'm watching for now is a pullback into yesterday's high, 51.34, for a bounce up into there. We've got targets in place. Unless the pre-market takes us all the way up to this point here, then I'll be looking for a rejection at 51.46. And then we've got some bit large orders at 43. Let's flick back to my order flow.